class is business management, legalities, and tax tips for running businesses behind the scenes. So we're going to cover how to choose the right entity for your business, how to set up and maintain your records, what type of insurance you need to protect your business, and how to file your taxes correctly. So whether you're just getting started or you've been at it for a while, this will be a pretty informative and helpful class to run your real estate business behind the scenes, investment business, whatever you want, real estate related. So choosing the right entity. You need to set up an entity. Do you set up an LLC, an S Corp, a trust? I'm very biased to LLCs, and so are all of the CPA companies that I've worked with and attorneys that I've spoken with. I've probably set up 10 to 15 LLCs in the last few years for various purposes, investments companies, and 0 S Corps. I think we've done 2 sole proprietorships that we've changed to LLCs. So actually, if you look at Donald Trump has over 500 LLCs, and he is one of the world's best businessmen, regardless of your political views. It is hard to disagree that he's quite a nifty businessman. And the fact that he has so many LLCs should give you an idea of why these are so helpful for businesses. They have less rules. They're more flexible for your CPA to kind of create rules and save money in taxes legally. And they have less rules with the IRS as far as disbursements, payroll, taxes, things like that. However, for certain purposes, other entities could be more helpful. It just depending on how many partners you have, what percentage of the company everyone owns. And so for best business planning entity purposes, I would just recommend consulting your attorney, your CPA, but always be biased towards LLCs. They're just a lot easier for tax purposes. So setting up LLCs. As I mentioned, these create a special tax shield. That's why they're so special. Here is a quick summary on how to create an LLC. You should always have one for business operations. So for all the real estate agents, I still recommend setting up an LLC for your real estate business. It is a tax shield. It helps you. It's helpful for write-offs. You can also pay yourself from that LLC account. And now, the state of Tennessee, you can actually run your commission payments through an LLC. It used to be you could not do that. You could only run it through your personal account because your personal name listed on your real estate license is who it had to be paid to. But recently, they have changed the law. Now you can run it through an LLC if you are 100% the owner. And if the intended income to the account is purposed for commission income only. So, and it's not involved in other business endeavors. So to set that up, you can get a free EIN from the IRS. EIN number is like a federal business tax number. You can set up with Rocket Wire, a really easy resource to use, or another attorney to draw up and file your LLC documentation. You will need an operating agreement. You'll need to make sure you have a registered agent with the state. Then you'll want to note any sort of filing deadlines so you don't fall behind and get fined or suspended. You want to make sure you've got in your notes to file your annual report with the Secretary of State, any annual reports with the Department of Revenue for franchise and excise tax. As a real estate business, we're exempt from the actual business tax. If you get a business license, they'll set you up with a business tax account, but you can just have them close it because you're a real estate business, you're exempt from business tax. But you are liable for the franchise and excise tax every year. So if you need to obtain a business license to open a bank account, you can do that with the county. File your incorporation documents with the local deeds office, and then you can set up your bank accounts. So if you do want to run commission payments into this account, once you've set it up, we will just need an updated W-9 on our side for your company information for when tax time rolls around. That way your business will be issued another 1099 if you do set it up this way for your commissions. To maintain good records. So for investing, I recommend having a different LLC for each investment endeavor, each property, each investment endeavor. That way, if you're ever sued, someone will only have access to those assets under that particular LLC. They won't have access to the full array of, whatever you have looped under one LLC. So keep them all separate. You can also create several different and creative business maps. You can create one LLC that has a partnership in another LLC that owns this or that has this or partnership, whatever. If you actually, again, Donald Trump, if you look at his business maps, they're so interconnected. I think it's very beautiful, but that's how my brain works. But if you have a really good CPA and attorney who can help you create a business map that interconnects your LLCs in the best way possible, you can also do that. You'll also need, for record keeping, you'll need to conduct monthly minutes for the Secretary of State, hold monthly meetings, do monthly minutes, and for bookkeeping, I recommend for payroll, bookkeeping, 1099s, QuickBooks is really easy to use. You can do everything all in one. If you do need to hire someone, you need to make sure they're either 1099 or W-2. The IRS has rules on the different categories, and you'll need to make sure you've got the proper documentation and tax filing set up for either one. Just document everything. And again, if you hire someone, you want to make sure you have their W-9 for tax purposes, independent contractor agreement for whatever business endeavor that you have, blah, blah, blah. If you are hiring an assistant for your real estate activities, please pay special attention to the unlicensed assistant laws that the Tennessee Real Estate Commission has and a licensed assistant. There are differences between what an unlicensed person can do that's assisting with your real estate activities versus what a licensed assistant can do. Okay, so moving on to insurance. Liability, professional are the two main, and cyber for online data breach stuff. Those are the main categories of insurance that you want to be worried about. It's important for us to distinguish between personal and business liability because they can have different legal and financial implications. So, like operating a business as a separate entity, like an LLC or a corporation, can protect your personal assets from business liabilities if you have the right insurance. So I recommend talking with Andrew Darlington on all of these. He's one of our sponsors here at True North with Veritas Insurance. We work with him on every avenue that we've had, and he's wonderful. So you might need to purchase like data breach insurance for your cyber activity, general liability to protect against fire, injury, damage, blah, 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 and then professional liability for errors and omissions whenever you get sued. So we all, for the brokerage, we have our E&O insurance corporately, right? So it's like a bulk policy. However, if you start a business, your business might need a separate policy or an add-on. So if you want to create an LLC for your real estate activities and you start getting paid through that LLC, or you start putting that LLC on different things that you're doing, you might want to call Andrew about an add-on for that liability insurance because it might not be covered under our corporate policy. Business owners, so you can also purchase liability insurance to protect against any legal or financial issues related to the business. And that could be, like I mentioned, the cyber, the data breach insurance. It's not that expensive, but if your laptop gets stolen or if someone hacks into your email for the company side, you definitely want some sort of protection. So taxes and licensing. If you pay any contractor, you must send out all 1099s by January 31st every year. So QuickBooks can do this. I don't like using QuickBooks for this. I prefer using a different software. But your CPA can also probably do this if they have a bookkeeping department and if you trust their bookkeeping department. I feel like, you can get software that's pretty easy to use, and it's better than handing it off to someone else, in my opinion. Business taxes are due in March, so just make sure that you coordinate with your CPA in February after you send out all your 1099s. And if you have W-2 employees, then you've got to do a quarterly payroll. So that's a little bit different. That's on a separate filing schedule. but you want to make sure that you file all those on time. They do have different schedules than like your personal taxes and when those are due. Normally, the Department of Revenue and the Secretary of State reports are just due in April, but it depends on what fiscal year you've got. When your company's fiscal year ends, that could change. So essentially, you just want to make sure that any required licensing is maintained for taxes and licensing. So other business management tips, and then we can open Q&A. About 2.5 years ago, I did another class here on business management. So I went through my notes, and there's a few things here that I want to add. So if you, this is especially important for our real estate business where you're advertising for yourself and you are your own employer. You wake up every day and technically you're unemployed and you have to go out and find your own business, find your own clients. So you create your own rhythm that keeps your own business steady and motivated, independent of what other businesses are doing. Don't compare yourself to other people. That's a dangerous game, and that always pulls you down more than it brings you up. So tune out the voices and actions of other businesses, or you'll become so distracted worrying about how other businesses are running that you will fail to run your business correctly. Then you need to find out what your business needs to steady up on, to level up on. So if you train hard to strive to be the best that you can be, then all obstacles become small. And if an obstacle isn't small, then you haven't trained or educated yourself enough on it, or you might just lack the confidence to succeed. So building up your training and your confidence in the belief that you and your team are the best in the business. Do what other businesses don't want to do so that you can become the expert, and then you'll be confident in the fact that you are the expert. So when you gain this level of confidence, you'll really be able to handle any objection that you come close to. So this also goes hand in hand with income producing activities. When you focus on your own business, your own training, you're able to focus on your own growth and income producing activities, saying yes to the income producing activities and no to the non-income producing activities. This ideology challenges us to be cautious in decision making as we make a scalable and sellable business. So focusing on systems, procedures, training, education to build a scalable business that says no to inefficient systems, poor training, and a faulty foundation, but yes to furthering your self-growth and education helps forward income-producing activities. And no one can take away that ambition to grow and succeed. And you make these decisions for you. No one else does. Anytime that you need to recenter, recalibrate your schedule, your activities to make sure that you are using the highest and best use of your time, we have done this exercise in the past that has helped us pinpoint where we're losing time and efficiency. If you create a chart that includes 15-minute time increments for 2 days from 9 to 5, so and then next to the 15-minute time increments from 9 to 5 for 2 days, you create empty spaces for just a one-word answer. Then you set an alarm to take a break from whatever you're doing every 15 minutes for just for these 2 days, so you can track to assess the last 15 minutes of your work. So you can rate it from good, great, or terrible. And what you're focusing on here is income producing activities, prospecting, generating business, meeting with clients, making calls, negotiating for tomorrow's business, marketing, networking, creating advertisements, etc. Figure out what your income producing activities are, and then rank your various activities from bad, good, great. And if everyone holds themselves to a high level of accountable, like very strict schedule, the first day of the challenge will actually be a rude awakening, because the amount of bad things that are happening in your day, scrolling through social media or wasting time in conversation or all these things, the amount of bad things that are happening and how little the great things are actually happening will help you pinpoint what time of day you struggle the most or what areas you need the most help with, and will assess how you are using your time efficiently to forward your income. So adapting, reacting to issues, adapting your schedule, adapting to what you need to do to forward your own business will help manage your business in the long run. You can always, with managing issues, you can always seek to resolve issues before they arise to save your business from the greater loss of trying to objection handle in the moment. So having expectation talks with your clients is really helpful. It helps them see the bigger picture. If you communicate expectations from the front end, then whenever you do run into a hiccup or a speed bump throughout the transaction, it is easier to walk them through because they're expecting it, because they have that expectation talk with you. And when you lose instead of win, treat it as a win. There's really no fail in a business when you make a mistake, or if you have a loss. Treating it as a win and a lesson learned for the future of the business will help you grow and not stumble with where you're at. When you are objection handling, remember to respond never ever out of impulse or anger. That can never be an option. But always keep your client's interest as a top priority. So seek a solution from a level of service and keep that reaction to any problem that comes up, and you'll be able to smoothly walk through with your client or your team. Role playing, we role play a lot on objection handling. That is really helpful in negotiation as well. Essentially, just at the end of the day, treat any sort of a loss in the business as a win to learn from the future. Consistency wins every time. Discipline is everything in meeting your goals. Hard work and discipline beat talent every single time. So if you can learn the behavior of keeping a disciplined mindset, your actions will be disciplined and you will run into less obstacles keeping a positive and disciplined mindset. But success requires boundaries, and boundaries require discipline. Keeping those boundaries, I love time blocking, block schedule is super helpful for business management. So it's about all that I have. Are there any questions on setting up a business, running a business from the back end, record keeping, management, any of that?
You mentioned multiple LLCs. From an investment perspective, have you dealt anything with a series LLC
A series LLC?
at all?
No, I haven't.
Neither have I. Heard a little bit about them, but wondering.
That's it. That would be an interesting
What's
question.
your recommendation?
Yeah, for your CPA or your attorney if you're interested in setting that up. And with investment properties as well, you'll want an umbrella policy on your insurance as well. The umbrella policy is good.
Yeah, I talked to an attorney about, because apparently there's different states where LLCs have more heightened kind of protection. Now, LLCs provide protection, but it's not. Some people will put it in trust, but the common factor is everybody has an umbrella policy. That's the thing that really protects you on that kind of side of things. So, because I'll run into different stuff and there's all these ideas, but the common denominator in Tennessee is to have that umbrella policy.
You're saying the umbrella policy for the LLC over the properties?
Yeah, we're within your properties to where it begins, and they're pretty inexpensive.
They're not that expensive at all. Yeah, it might be like $150 for a year. It's not
I'm
bad
not
at
sure
all.
that's how I am mine or not.
I've heard about them, then I talked to the Andrew and I was like, do I have umbrella policies on it? He goes, no, you want me to do that? I was like, yes, let's do that today. He's like, okay.
So the policy goes on the parent company, not the individual properties.
Correct.
Yeah.
It is on whichever LLC owns whichever property that you have, and your insurance company can sort that out with you.
Yeah. Good tip.
Any other comments? Perfect. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.